Hi folks, and sorry it took so long for me to make a new video. Um, we had some problems here uh, regarding scheduled, regarding the team. Some people left the team, so things were a little bit chaotic for a time, and I couldn't produce videos with the timetable or with the periodicity that I would like to do. But today I decided to make a short video to explain the logistics of the Russian invasion into Ukraine. So today is April the 6th, and the invasion has been going on for some time now, and we have some information that is available on the media, on the Western websites like the BBC, CNN, and so forth. And I'm going to work with those sources which are more or less reliable. So the first thing that I would like to mention is that um, Russia, being a very big country, relies heavily on rail. So they use a lot of rail to move uh, troops, troops and supplies and equipment uh, among or within the country. And some of the troops that were on the first, how can I say, phase of the invasion in Ukraine, they were originally stationed almost 3,000 kilometers from the border between Russia and Ukraine. So only by using rail they were capable of moving those troops um, quickly. Uh, you know, the troops began to gather in the border between Russia and Ukraine, and later on between Belarus and Ukraine at the end of last year, and in March they were ready to invade. So the movement of troops throughout so vast distances was kind of fast. You know, they were able to gather, over 1,200 tanks, over 100,000 troops, hundreds of artillery pieces, and other types of equipment. So all of that moved uh, by rail to to station grounds close to the border between Russia and Ukraine and Belarus and Ukraine. So that was kind of logistics feed. But the thing is, it's also the weak point of the Russian army. Within Russia, they have 21,000 locomotives. 20,000 of those are owned by the Russian government. The Russian army has 30,000 personnel working with rail, you know, um, signaling, planning, and operation of rail equipment. Uh, so when they are able to use a rail, like in Russia and in Belarus, they are able to move things quickly and efficiently. But the thing is, once they are outside of the range of their rail, For example, Ukraine blew up all the rail connections between Russia and Ukraine. So they are not capable of sending Russian rail cars all the way to Ukraine. For that, for those last miles of their logistics uh, supply chain, they have to rely on trucks. And the Russian army is really ill prepared in that respect. So they don't have sufficient number of trucks. They don't have sufficient number of logistics personnel to work with that, and they don't have a lot of experience with operations abroad, you know, and that has been playing a very big role in their invasion of Ukraine. Um, the American general Pershing from the First World War, he used to say that infantry wins battles and logistics wins wars, and that's what's happening in Ukraine. Russia had, success in the first week or first 2 weeks of the invasion. They made big advances into Ukraine territory, and once the Ukraine resisted that initial impetus or that initial thrust of the Russian forces, then is when logistics becomes necessary. You have um, to supply your forward troops with ammunition, that they probably spent all their, artillery shells, all their bullets or their missiles in the first week or so of the invasion. You have to keep, supplying those to the forward troops. You have to supply them with food. You have to supply them with fuel. Um, so it just demands a lot of logistics capacity to do that. The Ukrainians, on the other hand, they were really cunning and smart about targeting Russian logistics assets. So, instead of telling the population to throw cocktail Molotovs at, T-80 tanks, which is probably not going to have any effect, they told the population through social media to specifically target, for example, uh, fuel fuel trucks, trucks carrying fuel to the front line, and later on all cargo trucks. Um, the population did that, those trucks for moving fuel or cargo, they are not armored or they are not heavily armored, so it's easy to damage. It's easy to destroy them, and the Ukrainians did that at the beginning of the invasion. So later on, we were able to see on YouTube, for example, TikTok, whatever. We were able to see a lot of Russian tanks without any fuel. So they were abandoned by their crews, and Ukrainian farmers with tractors simply towing those vehicles back home with them. So that is the result of a logistics breakdown. You know, a modern army, if he doesn't have um, fuel, ammunition, food, you know, all the whole thing turns to a mess, and that's what's happening with the Russian army right now. So that's why their uh, their thrust or their attack on Kiev uh, failed. They had to fold back to Belarus, to safety in Belarus, and that's why elsewhere the Russian troops are, you know, stealing food from convenience stores or asking Ukrainian citizens for food, which is stupid, you know, because I don't know what these guys are thinking. They are um, invading these people country, and they ask them for food. I even heard about some Russian soldiers receiving kind of a poison food from Ukrainian citizens. That's the kind of thing you can expect when you invade someone else's country. So uh, the whole thing is turning into a mess. You know, it seems now that the Russian army is kind of regrouping. Uh, they have limited their objectives. Um, the peace talks are also designed to give them some time to reorganize and to focus on the Donbass region. I guess that's what they are doing now. And so they will have less of an area to cover with their logistics assets. So instead of three or four different, you know, front lines, you'll have only one front line and closer to Russian land, so it will be easier for them to supply their forward operating troops with you know, ammunition, fuel, medicine, food from their reserves back in Russia, you know, to the front line. They will have to use less equipment. Probably the losses of cargo trucks will be smaller also because the Donbass region is kind of already dominated by the you know, separatists. So that's what we see now happening is Russia reducing their targets, their goals, to be more feasible now in what they are calling the second phase of the special operation. And this Russian terminology is just bullshit, but whatever. Um, but you know, again, a good job by the Ukrainians. They realized how important logistics are in the modern battlefield. It was always important, you know, in every war. If you guys read Sun Tzu's The Art of War, it talks about logistics a lot. It talks that you know, an army doesn't move away from the food. So it was always important. But with modern armies, you know, you have a lot of ammunition that is bulky, that is heavy, and you have this ammunition is just used a lot, you know. As I mentioned, artillery, shells, mortars, missiles, and so forth. So just to keep supplying those things, it takes a heavy toll on logistics. So that's why Western armies, for example, they pay so much attention to logistics. They have such a big number of logistics army assets because an army is uh, heavily dependent on logistics today. Okay, so this was my take about the situation in Ukraine right now. I hope you guys liked it, and I expect to bring new videos to the channel soon, as soon as we sort things out here. And but thank you, and see you again. Bye.